For years, you've probably heard that looking after your grandchildren is lovely but exhausting, and that the smart health move as you get older is to take it easy, sit more, and protect yourself from extra demands. But the science points in a very different direction. A moderate regular dose of grandparenting may protect your brain, lift your mood, and even add years to your life. Welcome to Longevity Lab. I'm Claire.
And I'm Robert. Claire, I have to be honest with you. When I saw the topic for today, my first thought was, at last, someone is finally going to tell me that running after a small child is too hard for a man my age, and I can go and sit in my favorite chair.
I'm not going to let you off that easily.
I should have known. But that really is what a lot of people my age believe. We love our grandkids, but we also say, don't overdo it. You're not as young as you used to be. Rest is best. And I have to say, after an afternoon with my grandson, I feel like I have been through a small storm.
And rest is important. I would never say rest doesn't matter. But there is a huge difference between restorative rest and social withdrawal. Rest restores you, withdrawal slowly shrinks your life, and the research is very clear that long-term withdrawal is dangerous.
Withdrawal is a strong word. You make it sound like I'm choosing isolation just because I want a quiet afternoon.
Not every quiet afternoon is withdrawal. But the pattern can creep in. As people get older, they often stop accepting invitations, avoid noisy places, and reduce their social roles. Each individual choice seems reasonable, but the cumulative effect can be isolation. And chronic isolation is one of the strongest predictors of poor health in later life.
I remember you saying something about loneliness and smoking. Is that real?
Some studies have compared the health impact of chronic loneliness to smoking around 15 cigarettes a day. That is not a perfect comparison, but it helps people understand that loneliness is not just a sad feeling. It changes inflammation, immune function, blood pressure, and brain aging.
So when I choose the quiet chair too often, I might be paying a bigger price than I realize.
That's exactly right. And here's where grandchildren become fascinating. They won't let you stay too comfortable. They ask questions, demand movement, change plans without warning, and require you to use skills you may not have practiced for years.
That sounds like stress, not health.
There is a difference between short-term challenge stress and chronic damaging stress. Short-term, moderate challenge is called eustress. It's like a workout for your brain and body. Chronic, overwhelming stress is a different animal, and that's why the amount of grandparenting matters so much.
Okay, so this is the key. How much is healthy?
Let me start with the bigger picture. An analysis published in Evolution in Human Behavior used data from the United States Health and Retirement Study. Researchers followed more than 500 grandparents over nearly 20 years. After adjusting for a range of factors, they found that grandparents who provided some grandchild care had a 37% lower risk of dying during that period, compared with grandparents who provided no grandchild care.
37%. That's not small. That's the kind of number that makes me sit up straight.
It is a striking association, and I want to be careful here. This is observational data. It doesn't prove that grandparenting alone caused the longer survival, but it aligns with a broader pattern in the research.
What broader pattern?
There are also studies looking at cognitive function. Using data from the Berlin Aging Study, researchers found that older adults who provided occasional grandchild care performed better on tests of memory and executive function over time than those who did no care. Executive function is your brain's management system. planning, switching attention, holding information in mind, and adapting when things change.
That sounds like exactly what happens when a child suddenly decides the game needs different rules.
It is. Children are natural cognitive trainers. They are unpredictable, curious, and physically active. And because you care about them, you pay close attention. That combination is powerful.
So the brain gets a workout without me going to a special brain training app.
Much better than an app because the training comes wrapped in emotional connection, physical movement, social exchange, and purpose. An app can train one narrow skill. Grandchildren activate many systems at once.
But you keep saying moderate. What happens if I overdo it?
Here's the finding that surprised me most when I first looked into this. I assumed more engagement would always be better. But the data kept showing a curve. In some studies, the benefits peaked at around 1 day per week. By 5 or more days of care, the cognitive and mood advantages often disappeared. In some full-time caregiving groups, depressive symptoms actually rose.
So the same activity that protects me could harm me if I turn myself into a daily child care center.
Exactly. The dose flips the outcome. Grandparents who are the primary caregivers for their grandchildren often face financial stress, constant time pressure, disrupted sleep, and little opportunity to recover. That chronic load can raise cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, and keep it high.
And cortisol is the alarm chemical, right?
Yes. Think of cortisol as your body's built-in alarm system. In a short burst, it helps you get up in the morning, deal with a challenge, and stay alert. But if the alarm never stops ringing, it starts to damage mood, memory, sleep, and blood pressure.
So one good day with my grandson is a useful challenge. 5 exhausting days is a different kind of stress.
That's the distinction. The first trains you, the second can wear you out. And this is particularly important because many grandparents feel guilty saying no. They think if 1 day is good, 5 days must be even better. The science says that isn't how stress works.
This is liberating. I thought I was being selfish for wanting a limit.
Boundaries are part of the health prescription. Let's look at the protective mechanisms more closely because they tell you how to make grandparenting count.
I'd like that. What's happening inside the body?
First, there's cognitive reserve. Think of your brain as a dense forest with many walking paths. Every time you learn something new, have a rich conversation, or solve a problem, you build more paths. Cognitive reserve is that extra network of paths. If some paths become blocked by age-related changes, you have other routes to keep your thinking sharp.
So spending time with my grandson literally builds extra brain paths?
It supports them. Reading aloud, teaching a game, remembering the child's schedule, negotiating, answering endless why questions, planning an outing, these all activate language, memory, attention, and planning. That's a broad neural workout.
And I thought I was just reading a picture book.
You were also holding information in mind, tracking the story, adjusting your voice, and responding to the child's emotions. That's a live social interaction, which is more complex than isolated mental tasks.
What about movement? I do get up and down a lot when he's around.
That matters more than many people think. Long periods of sitting are linked to worse metabolic and cardiovascular health. Grandchildren naturally break up sitting time. You bend, reach, walk, carry, and move around the house or garden. It's not a gym session, but it's meaningful daily activity.
I have to admit, after an afternoon with him, I've often done more steps than I would on one of my relaxing days.
And there's the bonding chemistry. Warm interaction with children can trigger oxytocin release. Oxytocin is sometimes called the bonding hormone because it strengthens social bonds and can lower blood pressure and calm the stress response. That's one reason you might feel a warm glow even when you're tired.
That's exactly how I feel. Exhausted, but sort of full. I couldn't explain it.
Now we can. And there's also the purpose effect. Many people feel a loss of identity after they retire. They ask, "What am I for?" Grandparenting can restore a sense of being needed. Feeling useful is not just sentimental, it is strongly linked with lower rates of depression and better health behaviors.
That's true. When my grandson asks me to help him build something, I feel like I matter in a very immediate way. It pulls me out of my own head.
Purpose engages the brain's reward system. It gives you a reason to plan, stay active, and take care of your body. That's part of why grandparenting can ripple into so many areas of health.
So there are brain, body, and emotional benefits all tangled together.
Yes, and at the same time, you're reducing loneliness. Research links stronger social connection with lower markers of inflammation. You can think of inflammation as a low grade fire inside the body. A little fire helps you heal, but a fire that never goes out can damage blood vessels and brain cells over years. Social engagement helps keep that fire lower.
So this isn't just about feeling good, it's about quiet biological changes that build up over time.
Exactly. And when you add it all together, more cognitive reserve, more movement bonding chemistry, purpose, less loneliness, you can see why moderate grandparenting is linked to better survival.
And I ask about the people who didn't have grandkids but were socially active in other ways. Did they get similar benefits?
The study followed grandparents specifically, but the underlying mechanisms are probably not unique. Other research shows that volunteering, mentoring, and strong social ties are linked with lower mortality. So it's likely the package of purpose and connection, not simply the biological grandchild.
So it's about staying generatively involved, not necessarily biologically involved with your own family.
That's a great word, generative. The psychoanalyst Erik Erikson wrote about generativity as a key task of later life, the desire to guide the next generation. People who find ways to contribute tend to age better.
So chasing my grandson around the park is actually developmental psychology in action.
In a very practical way, yes.
What about the temptation to just sit him in front of a screen while I rest? Is that the same?
No, and this is an important distinction. Passive screen time does not offer the same benefits. When you watch television or scroll on a device, you are receiving information but not actively negotiating meaning with another person. Live interaction is much richer because you have to read facial expressions, adjust your tone, and respond in real time.
So using a screen to buy myself a break is not the longevity medicine.
It can be a useful break, but it is not the medicine. The benefit comes from engaged interaction, not just being in the same room. That doesn't mean every moment has to be intense, but the active, connected moments are the ones that build cognitive reserve and emotional bonds.
Do men get the same benefit as women?
Both men and women can benefit, though some studies suggest the effect might be particularly important for older men. After retirement, many men lose their main social role. Grandparenting can give men a clear, acceptable way to be emotionally close and useful.
That hits close to home. When I retired, the first thing I lost was my daily sense of being needed. I didn't realize how much of my health was tied to that feeling.
And that is why this topic matters. Mental well-being isn't separate from physical health. It is physical health. Purpose, connection, and challenge all change your biology.
So what should I actually do this week? Give me the recipe.
If you have grandchildren and you're in generally stable health, choose one regular day or half day per week. Put it on the calendar like a health appointment. Make it active and connected. Read together, cook a simple dish, build a puzzle, go to the park, or play a memory game. Let the child teach you something new.
Let him teach me. That will humble me quickly.
Perfect. Novelty and slight unpredictability build cognitive reserve. When he explains a toy or a game, you are learning a new task while staying emotionally engaged. That's exactly what your brain needs.
And if I don't have grandchildren nearby,
Then choose an intergenerational activity once a week. Volunteer as a reading buddy, mentor a young adult, offer to help a neighbor's child with homework, or join a community garden that includes different ages. The structure matters regular, meaningful, and connected.
what if someone has health conditions and can't be as physically active?
Of course, if you have heart disease, joint problems, or other existing conditions, that's definitely a conversation to have with your doctor before making changes. But people can adapt. Chair based games, reading together, storytelling, or simple seated cooking can still provide cognitive and emotional connection without heavy physical strain.
I have to ask about the other side. What should full time grandparent caregivers do? Because a lot of people don't have a choice.
That's a really important point, and I don't want anyone to feel blamed by this research. Many grandparents are full time caregivers because their families depend on them. The science doesn't say they're doomed, it says chronic stress needs active management. So if that's you, prioritize small recovery windows, ask for help from other family members or local services, and find even 10 minutes a day for breathing, walking, or a phone call with a friend.
So full time grandparents need to put their own oxygen mask on first.
Exactly. The best way to protect the grandchildren is to protect the grandparents' health. And that means breaks, support, and not treating self care as selfish.
This is such a shift in how I think about retirement. I was told to reduce stress by doing less, but it sounds like the goal is to choose the right kind of stress, not remove all stress.
That's the entire episode in one sentence. Stress isn't the enemy. Chronic, unrelenting stress is the enemy. Short bursts of meaningful challenge are medicine.
Can we talk about blue zones? I remember you said older people in those regions don't retire the way we do.
Yes, in Okinawa, one of the original Blue Zone regions, with unusually high numbers of healthy centenarians, older adults remain deeply embedded in family life. Grandparents often live near or with their children and grandchildren. They help care for children, cook, garden, and hold respected roles well into old age.
So they don't see grandparenting as extra work. They see it as part of their purpose.
And that sense of purpose, combined with moderate daily activity and strong social bonds, is considered one of the reasons they live so long and stay mentally sharp. They are not isolated in separate retirement communities, away from the noise and chaos of family life.
In many modern countries, we've separated older people from younger people. Maybe that separation costs us more than we realized.
It likely has. We created convenience, but we may have also removed the daily intergenerational contact that kept brains and bodies active.
So, this episode is really about putting the generations back together, at least a little.
Yes, and the research suggests it benefits both directions. Children gain from the grandparents' calm presence and stories, grandparents gain from the child's energy and curiosity. It's a natural reciprocal therapy.
If you're enjoying this, I hope you'll subscribe to Longevity Lab and turn on notifications. We bring you a new daily episode that translates health science into something you can actually use. No hype, no miracle products.
And if today's episode changed how you think about your own routine, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe a grandparent who feels guilty about wanting one restful day.
Now I need a summary, Claire. What's the one thing to remember?
Today's rule: if you have grandchildren, schedule one regular day a week for active grandparenting, not full-time duty, and treat that day as longevity medicine. If you don't have grandchildren, find a young person to mentor. Engagement is not a luxury. It is a health behavior.
I'll be honest, Claire. I came into this episode ready to defend my armchair. Now I'm going to call my daughter and offer to take my grandson to the park every Tuesday afternoon. Not as a babysitter, but as his park partner. I'm even going to let him teach me one new thing each week.
That's a wonderful plan. And notice that you built in moderation, one regular afternoon, not an open ended daily commitment. That boundary is part of what will keep it healthy.
I will report back on what he teaches me. It might be something very humbling.
That's exactly what your brain needs.
Thanks, Claire. This one is going to change my week.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you for listening. We'll see you tomorrow on Longevity Lab.